Hey everyone, it's Sia from Heal Love Now. And today I want to talk about how to become a model. And I'm going to explain the steps based on my experience as a fashion model for many, many years. Coming out of college with a degree in child psychology, which is such a unique way to embark upon a career in fashion. I didn't plan it, I didn't expect it. It came upon me again serendipitously. I should change the name of this channel to Serendipitous Sia. But I was working as a play therapist for emotionally disturbed children in San Francisco. And I got discovered on the street on my way to work many times. So I would be coming from Palo Alto, where I lived with my boyfriend at the time. We had both we were both Stanford students. He was in Stanford Law and I was in the undergrad program, but that's a whole nother story. So I was working as a play therapist, and every day on my way to work from Palo Alto, I'd catch the Caltrain up to San Francisco, and then I catch BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, and then I walk in to work. And I worked in the border of the Mission District and Dolores Park and the Castro at a multicultural school called Sanchez Elementary School. And I counseled children who were in the school system but who had emotional trauma that prevented them from participating fully and functionally in class. So they would come to me and I would work with them and basically play with them. We'd use constructive play as a therapeutic tool to heal their trauma. And it was a wonderful job, especially just out of college. However, I did get laid off because there was a grant funding the program, and the government decided not to fund the grant anymore. And so my job was cut. I had been scouted on my way to work so many times that I had all these business cards from agents, photographers, designers that were kind of like, many of them I had thrown away because I was so not interested in what I felt was a superficial career like modeling. I was very studious, I was very intellectual, very nerdy. I wore all my boyfriend's clothes, had no makeup skills. I had really short hair. I just cut it all off because I didn't want to deal with it. So I was like the anti-model, but that's actually step one in how to become a model. Don't try. As someone who has gone through the business and seen all the sides from a very youngish age to over the years, like a seasoned model, I can say that the most important step in getting into the business is not necessarily trying to. I know that sounds a bit confusing, but I'll try to explain. So, anyway, I was laid off and I had all these cards from model agents and whatnot. And my boyfriend at the time said, because I was like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to make money? I've got laid off. And should I go back to grad school? What should I do? And he was like, well, why don't you model until the grant is refunded? Because the job that I had explained to me that, yeah, I was going to be laid off, but once the funding came back in, they'd rehire me. So and they'd rehire me. So my boyfriend suggested I model during the interim. And I was like, well, I don't really know if I want to do that. I'm not really keen on being so superficial and doing work just based on my physicality. What meaning would that have? And he said, well, the meaning would be that you would be having a way to take care of yourself whilst waiting for this meaningful job to represent itself. So I said, okay. So I looked through the cards that I did have left because, like I said, I threw most of them away. And I found a card of a Black woman photographer. So I thought, okay, I'll call her. And I remember because she had locks and very, she was very street smart. She just dressed really cool. She was very manly. She was actually a lesbian, I found out later. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I called her up and I said, hi, I saw you on the road one day and you told me I should be a model and I got laid off. So I thought I'd call you and see what's up. She said, oh, yeah, I remember you. I've been waiting for you to call me. You're great. Meet me at such and such a time. We're going to do a photo shoot. So I went to the photo shoot and it was in Oakland, California. I remember in Lake Merritt out in the park. And she was taking lots of pictures. And while she was taking the pictures, a guy comes up, a white guy, older, and he says, you're the next big thing. You're supermodel material. And I want to take you to do a shoot on my yacht in some Caribbean country. I can't remember what it was at the time. And I thought, wow. So he gave me his card and he stayed for a while, watched the photo shoot. Then he left. And I went home. I told my boyfriend. He said, great. You're on it. You're getting started. It's all happening. So the guy had, I think I must have called him, or maybe when we met, he told me where we would meet again because I had an appointment to meet with him at a cafe that was right across from where I did the photo shoot. And at the appointment, I was waiting. I was dressed what I thought was cute, but I didn't really know much about fashion at the time. I sat on an outdoor table at this cafe waiting for this guy. And while I was sitting there, across from me was a really beautiful woman, just outstanding, phenomenally beautiful. And she was sitting with what seemed to be her man, and they were just talking, and she was so classy and just so cool. And she looked over at me many times whilst I was sitting there. Now, finally, she kind of like leaned over toward me and she said, what are you doing here? Are you waiting for someone? You're so cute. You're sitting here by yourself. What's your story? And I said, well, I started modeling all of a sudden because people scouted me. And then this guy wants to meet me and wants to take me to the Caribbean. And she said, this sounds a little bit suspect. I think this guy is a scam and he's just trying to modelize you. Come and sit at my table and let's scope him out before you talk to him. So I said, okay, why not? He was already late. I was so young and she was really beautiful. And I liked the sort of serendipitous aspect of it all. And I liked that she was a woman of color. It made me feel safe. It made me feel like I was connected with something that was meaningful, because that's always been a part of my nature, to do things with purpose and with true value that resonate with my spirit. So it turns out this woman was a major superstar, but I didn't know it at the time because I was so clueless and just in a whole other realm. I didn't read fashion magazines. In a whole other realm. I didn't read fashion magazines. I didn't look at TV. I didn't know what was going on. So I didn't realize who she was. She was actually Vanity Six's sister, Deborah Matthews. And she sat with me. And when the guy finally came, she started grilling him. And she was like, "This guy's a joker. You don't need to go anywhere with him. He's just trying to take advantage of you. If you want to go into modeling, I will hook you up totally. I'm with the top agency in San Francisco. It's called Stars Model Management." And she said, "I will take you in there, get you signed, and get you started." So my modeling career started in this kind of intuitive, feminine energy sort of way. It just developed in beautiful, unexpected moments of synchronicity. One thing led to another, and I was signed with her agent. I got my first booking with Nordstrom, and before I knew it, I was in New York during Fashion Week, then in Paris doing pret-a-porter, and basically flying all over the world as a model. I never went back to my play therapist job. I took a whole new tangent and trajectory for my life. I became very fashionable, very ambitious, wanting to be a supermodel, going into it with my full energy, forgetting all about psychology and therapy as a career vocation, and becoming wedded to being a top model. So, moving into step two. Step one was don't try if you want to become a model. Step two, what I did to activate my modeling career once I was already in it, once I had been brought to the table and had the connections and the contacts and the opportunities to excel, is I committed to being myself and not trying to bring in authenticity as a way to move higher in the ranks of the modeling world. In other words, do not be fake. The modeling world is very superficial and it's very fake. So a girl coming in will think that she has to play a role. But what I found is that the more honest you are and true to yourself, the greater the advancement that occurs. It's a natural phenomenon. I guess it's kind of like beginner's luck, but I met some of the most outstanding people because I was being who I am and not trying to be somebody else. So I still had the short hair. I still kind of dressed boyishly, though, and I wore this dress just to show when we would go on the calls, the go-sees for Fashion Week, all us girls in New York City, the agents would say, wear something sexy, wear something that shows your body, because the client is going to value you based on how your figure is and whether you're going to fit into the clothes, how you're going to wear the clothes. So they don't want to see anything else but your figure so that they can make that. So that was one of the first times that I had to um, come out of my natural style. But what I would do is I'd wear something really form fitting and sexy under my boyfriend's clothes and a big old coat when it was during the winters. When we went to Paris, same thing. I have a huge coat, huge men's jacket on top of something that was sexy and feminine. And it kind of gave me, you know what I felt like? Because I've always loved the movie Flashdance. I felt like Jennifer Beals when she used to ride her bike with the military gear on, but then she'd go to the strip club and get all sexy. So be yourself, be authentic, don't try. Those are two steps. And then the third step with modeling is always give more than your physicality. So when I would get bookings, especially one in particular in South Africa, I had a cover shoot, but I wasn't booked for the cover. I was booked just as an auxiliary model. And this was in Cape Town, in Stellenbosch, a beautiful location. And the client was really rude and kind of catty, which a lot of fashion people can be. So they had booked another model for the cover, and they were treating me just in a way that, like, I wasn't that girl. But whilst I was getting my makeup done, the makeup artist asked me about my life. And, sometimes makeup artists like to chat while they're doing your makeup. And it can be like a therapy session sometimes. So we got to talking, and it just kind of came out that I did, I was a psychologist and I also was a healer and did readings. And she said, "Oh, can you read palms?" And I said, "Yeah, I can." So she showed me her hand and she said, "So what's my future?" And I looked at her palm and I just started reading what I saw intuitively. And I told her that, "Oh, you're about to change careers and you're about to make a big uh, change in your residence. You're going to travel and your relationship is going to change with your lover and you might decide to find someone else." And I was just riffing off of what I saw. I've always been very intuitive and kind of like able to know things. And I'll get into that in another video. But she was so impressed that she started telling others on the set. Do you know, before you know it, I was doing all the readings, palm readings of the stylists and the makeup artists and the dressers and even the main producer of the shoot, the one who had been really rude and catty. She came up and she was like, "Can you do my hand as well, my palm?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I looked at her hand and I did the same thing. She was so impressed. She was like, "Oh my goodness, I just, bought a new house. How did you know? I just decided that I'm going to cut my hair. How did you know?" She was so impressed that she put me on the cover. She knocked the other girl out, put me on the cover. And she didn't do it at the time. Like, she didn't tell anybody she was going to do that. She did the shoot as normal. But then when the magazine came out, I was on the cover. So this is just to say, modeling is like what you are. It's about what you give from within, not what you show with on the without or on the external. So those are my 3 steps to becoming a successful model. I've got a lot more steps, but I'm just going to keep it at 3 for now, and I'll make another video. And especially if you have questions, I'll answer your questions. Uh, but yeah, so this is something that I love to share because I have so much experience in it. And so much love for it as a transformational journey, my experiences as a fashion model. So I'm excited to give you these tips, and I can't wait to give you more because I want you to know that if this is something you want to do, you can do it, and you can do it your way. And you don't have to follow the existing patterns of how to do it. You can make it suitable to your own way of being and use it as a way to actually heal and help others with your beauty on the outside, but especially with the beauty that comes from within. Okay, so I'm going to end this video now on that note. Peace, y'all, and I will see you next time.